Gavin Ortlund says absolutely nothing about the Epstein files, but he cannot wait until a Trump staffer makes a mistake, and then it's send out the hounds. Let's get into it. Before we go further, my name is Casey. I'm a husband, father, and I've been a therapist for more than 13 years, and my 4 kids deserve to grow up in a future country of faith, fatherhood, and freedom. If you can get behind any of that and a common sense psychological perspective on today's happenings, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's get into why Gavin Ortlund, a faith leader and theologian, can't wait to jump and throw darts at the right, but stay silent about all the corruption in the elites on any and other sides in the protection of children. Just as a matter of background, a Trump staffer auto-scrolled into something which was exceedingly found as being racist, but ultimately it was just an auto-scroll into a dumb little video about the Pelosi's and the Obamas and all the people on the left subjugating themselves to the Lion King, who was supposedly Trump in this case. And while it was probably in poor taste and maybe something a 7th grader could have done through AI, it was the exact grenade that Gavin Ortlund could not wait to pull the pin on and throw into his audience in order to try to speak out like he is the Dietrich Bonhoeffer of the modern day, and that Trump is somehow the mustache man from World War II.
Really egregious. This happened late Thursday night of the week that I'm recording this, when on President Trump's Truth Social account, a terrible racist image of Barack Obama and Michelle Obama was posted. I won't reproduce that image here. I'm not interested in offering a partisan take on this, but I am wrestling with a pastoral question, and I'm guessing I am not the only American Christian who is wrestling with this. Christians in other contexts might be looking in as well. What do we do? That's the question I'm wrestling with.
Gavin Ortlund says he's wrestling with the question about what do we do? What do we do when Trump and his team puts out something that could be perceived as being racist? And while this may be an open question and something that you could do both and, the question should really be what could we and should we be doing as the result of the release of these 3 million pages of files that say that, you know, the elites who run our country and in large financial institutions and other places of power within our country are taking active advantage of people in the lower tier, people that they see as less than human, and people that they are often putting in categories that are actually oppressive and affecting a great multitude of people. This is an important question, and I don't mind if Gavin Ortlund wants to do both, and if he feels so compelled by what was posted by the Trump team that he must do something about that and this. But the Epstein files demand a certain amount of more Christian attention than does this seemingly accidental meme on the part of Trump, which I'm not actually even dismissing. I think honestly it needs no redaction in that I don't believe that it was intentional, but if it were intentional, then yes, Gavin, you can certainly speak out against it. But this is not the Dietrich Bonhoeffer moment that you might think it is, but we'll see exactly why he thinks that in this next clip.
Just going haywire, because I would then feel as though I'm participating in the normalization of evil. In the same way where if you're on a boat and you see an iceberg dead ahead, you have a moral obligation to say something. On the other hand, I don't just want to pile on more noise. How do you respond in a way that's actually helpful? It's so hard to talk about these things. I'm aware doing this gets backlash. So impulsive and reckless speech is also another huge danger.
Gavin says here that he doesn't want to be seen as participating in the normalization of evil. And while I do believe that there are some objections that could be taken based on what was seemingly incidentally posted by the Trump administration, there is an actual normalization of evil which is happening right under our noses. And apparently the Pizzagate bros may actually have some redemption here, because it looks like it goes way deeper and further than what we would have thought, and those are actions that do necessitate the Christian church stand up and begin to fight for those who are vulnerable in our communities, namely the children involved, not just with what was revealed in the files, but also the fact that the elites seem to have been treating them with the type of disdain and dehumanization that Gavin Ortlund is actually worried about the Trump administration doing in this case.
This video is not about relitigating all the details of what happened. It's not about making a grand political statement about who you should vote for or how you should think about politics in general. It's just a modest Christian framework for how to think when one of our leaders crosses a moral line. And these principles aren't just about one leader. They're not just about one side. They're to guide for how we should act whenever someone in power acts in ways that degrades human dignity.
You almost can't make this up. He says that we need to be careful for when someone in power is acting in ways that demoralizes and dehumans someone. And it is quite obvious that there are actual places and people in power, such as Bill Gates, such as Bill Clinton, and yes, even a great many GOP Republican lawmakers who are involved in people that are actually dehumanizing people, actually taking advantage of vulnerable people, actually doing real harm. And while a meme might be harmful, it is in no way commensurate to what has been just recently released, and you almost can't make this up. I could put word for word what he is talking about in application to the Epstein files, and I think that that would be a legitimate application of this kind of nurturing, compassionate view that Gavin Ortlund is trying to apply to a meme.
And it was claimed that it was just a staffer who'd posted it. I find that a problematic response. But even if that were true, this is still a totally inadequate response. Refusing to take responsibility and refusing to apologize furthers the original harm. And the worst part about this is, and the reason it really becomes a more of a crisis, is that this entire debacle is sadly not out of character. Unfortunately, this episode fits with long-standing patterns of behavior.
Gavin Ortlund then states that he is concerned that this is a pattern of behavior on the part of people in power. And I, again, could very nearly apply this word for word to what has just been most recently released and revealed about what's going on in DC and throughout places like academia, Noam Chomsky being indicated, along with a great many people who are in power in our country. So Gavin, again, if you are going to go this hard to the mat about something that, you know, may have hurt some people's feelings, you might want to actually look where there are real victims, where there are people who have experienced SA and other horrible acts upon them by report, a government report, and then apply some of this compassion and this desire to really influence the culture in an applicable and right place, and that's towards those elites who've been taking advantage of young people.
You have to think about that, because this is probably not going to be the last time where something like this happens. And I love our country. I'm concerned about where things are going. And this probably won't be the last time that we're agonizing about what do we do as followers of Christ, right? And I want to make a basic point here. The indefensible should not be defended. Don't defend what is indefensible. Every human being is made in God's image and should be treated with respect. Character matters. Power should be used to protect, not to degrade. And Christians should be the first people to champion these truths, and this should not be controversial.
As in a great many other cases, Gavin is exactly right here. Power should be used to protect the vulnerable and to protect people, and how you treat people matters. And I swear on all that's holy, he didn't make this video about the Epstein files, even though it seems as if every exact point that he's making about, again, a meme is something that you could apply readily and forthrightly to what happened and what was released just this week. And so when people in power are taking advantage of the vulnerable, the Christian church should be the first one to speak out. They should be the ones to defend the vulnerable. They should be the ones to speak truth to power in ways that, if it's necessary, tears down institutions and institutional rot in order to protect the most vulnerable. The Christian church does owe a response. They should act, and they should use the table flipping Jesus anger, righteous anger, in order to influence the powerful in this moment. But it has very little, if anything, to do with what was posted on Truth Social, and it has very much more to do with the institutions that perhaps Gavin is too afraid to look into, which are the institution and power that corrupted so many young people and has been divulged just this week. And Gavin, I appreciate his energy, and I appreciate his desire and compassion and empathy to try to protect the vulnerable. He just must begin to apply it in the right direction, which is towards the protection of our youth. Now, that doesn't mean that if someone says something offensive who's in power, even if it was intentional, which that's an open question in this case, Gavin, you have every right to speak out, but the darts only go toward the dartboard that's hanging on his right. And if you've noticed, there are people of every political stripe that are contained within the Epstein files. That deserves a lot more energy, because the results and the deprivation and the degradation that happened as the result of what is detailed in those files is a much deeper cut than what happened on this meme that was posted on Trump's Truth Social. Now, I'm not necessarily defending that. I don't think that everything Trump does deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, but I do know that we must apply with some balance where our energy goes. And if Gavin certainly has young children. I'm raising 4 children in this society. I would much rather that we perform our righteous anger as fathers in a way that has a better outcome for a future of faith, fatherhood, and freedom in America, and that includes the protection of our kids. If you would like to protect kids along with me and support a society of men and women who do that together, please like, share, and subscribe. I love your support.